Okay, so why does the back of my legs get tight when I go on long drives? Well, we just went through one of the largest or the biggest travel seasons of the year. And like a lot of people, I experienced some tightness in the back of my leg when I took our long drive with the family. So right off the bat, the reason why we do these Facebook Lives is that we want to help people understand what that a lot of their aches and body aches and pains that they get are caused by tight muscles, and tight muscles can cause some significant pain. So the good thing about that is that you can take control of that. You have the ability to reduce that tightness, reduce that achiness, that muscle pain before it becomes something more serious. So again, it's nice to know that you can take control of it. So again, I'm Brian Hagan from Your HealthySteps. Me and my wife are the creators of the Ultimate Foam Rolling Blueprint. We do this because we wanted to create purposeful foam rolling and purposeful self-care so that you can be active and pain-free. So this is for educational purposes only. We are really giving you 15 years of experience as neuromuscular massage therapists. Okay, so a lot of our clients, a lot of the people that we know, and including ourselves, experience like tightness and some achy pains in the back of our upper leg when we are traveling or taking long road trips. And so I want to talk about why that is, okay? So the muscles that we're going to talk about today are the hamstrings. They are the muscles in the back of the upper leg. They are also nicknamed the chair, what is it called? The chair seat victims. I'll explain what that means here in just a minute, but that's their nickname, okay? So let's talk about these hamstrings. Where are they? Well, we know that they're, oh, and by the way, Manny's back from his vacation, so hopefully he had a good time. He's back at work with us, and what we have here is our hamstrings on the back of his upper leg. And right up here where the glute muscles or the butt meets the upper leg is a bone called the sit bone or the ischial tuberosity. And that's where these muscles start from. All three of them do. One of them comes out toward the outside of the leg and attaches on the outside below the knee. And the other two drop straight down and attach on the below the knee on the inside of the lower knee. And that's your hamstrings. I'm going to talk about these X marks here in just a minute. So that is your hamstrings. How do we find this on ourselves? Well, take your hand and put it right where your glute muscle or your butt meets your upper leg. Right at that spot, if you feel around, you're going to feel a bony bump. And that bony bump is the sit bone. It's the ischial tuberosity. And if you drop off just a little bit toward the leg and then bend and straighten your leg, you actually feel these muscles move. That's your hamstrings. And you can just follow it down the back of the upper leg. One of those muscles will break off and move toward the outside of the leg and actually move toward just below the knee. And then the other two, you'll feel more on the inside of the upper leg. As it drops down, again, you can bend and straighten your leg and you'll feel it, but it moves down, almost straight down, and crosses the knee and attaches on that inside part of just below the knee. So that's how you find it on yourself. So why do muscles get tight? Why do these muscles in particular get tight and become achy when we're on long drives? Well, as we go through our lives, we use our muscles. As we move, we work out, we sit, everything we do, we're using muscles to do it. And that causes the muscle to break down and we rebuild back up again. That's how we get stronger. But that process creates scar tissue and adhesions, and it's the scar tissue and adhesions in the muscle that causes us to get tight, stiff, and sore, especially as we get older because it accumulates in our body. So that's a process that's going on every day of our lives, and if we're not getting that stuff out of there, the muscle gets tight. And if we add something like sitting, if we sit at an office desk for 8, 9, 10 hours, or we drive a lot, say from here to Florida, or we travel on an airplane a lot, these muscles get shortened. Or like me, I tend to stand a lot, so I'm not sitting, but I'm leaning forward and I'm working back and forth, and these muscles they're not using their full length, they're just moving a little bit, and they're usually lengthened or overly lengthened, and they get tight. So that's why they get tight on me, but a lot of people, it's because we sit too much. So again, when we sit, the knee is bent, the muscle is shortened. And then for me, when I stand and I'm leaning forward, I'm working the muscle because I'm working on people, but the muscle is moving in a very short range, and that makes it also tight. And so it aggravates those scar tissue and adhesions that we're building up every day, okay? So we're gonna talk about some self-care here in just a minute, but let's talk about what happens when these muscles get angry and get tight. So the most common symptom people have is as they get to stand up, all of a sudden they can't move their leg. They really almost like they can't straighten the leg all the way out. And a lot of times you'll see people limp. So it'll be really, really tight, could be very painful, and then there's a limp involved. And so that's a really good clue that your hamstrings are way too tight. Sometimes people will feel that pain and tightness as they sit, and it's just almost like the muscle just locks down on itself and gets really, really tight, and then you feel the pain as you're sitting. So what's happening when we have a tight muscle that's aggravated by either it being lengthened or by sitting, the muscle develops these hyper-irritated points called trigger points. All muscles have them. This muscle has a lot, and that's what these X marks are right here. There are 9 trigger points in all 3 of these muscles. So you can see when these things get angry, they can fire off some serious pain. Where does that pain most likely show up? Well, it shows up right where the glute muscle meets the upper leg, right at the gluteal. But you see this where the glute cheek kind of drops down. That can be very achy, and the upper part of the upper leg, really painful. Another very common area is right down here in the back of the knee. You can get a lot of pain right there. And a lot of people say, I have this pain in my knee. It's coming from the hamstring. Now, these other areas here that are not dark red, these are just secondary areas where you can get pain. For me, that's where my pain is at. I get that pain right in the belly of the muscle when I sit too long. But again, so this pain can show up anywhere from the glute to just on the top part of the calf muscle. That's a considerable amount of range for these muscles when they get angry. Okay, so who gets tight? Well, like it can be a wide range of people who sit a lot, or people like me who stand in one position and work, and I'm kind of leaning, rocking back and forth. Those type of actions can really get these muscles tight. So what do we do to take care of these muscles? Well, I'm a big fan of getting rid of the scar tissue and adhesions that we accumulate over the years. Because if we can get that garbage out of there, then at least the muscle is going to start to move the way that it was meant to move. Okay, so if we're getting that stuff out of there, that will eliminate a lot of tightness. And then we have to change, or first of all, we have to figure out what we're doing all day long that causes this muscle to be tight. So if you're an office worker, you need to pay attention to how long you're sitting, because if it's 4 to 5 hours before you get up and do something, that's way too long. So you have to change your pattern. You have to change your habits by getting up and moving more often, at least every hour. Somebody like me, when I'm standing a lot, I need to work and stretch the muscles in the front of my leg, because those are the muscles that are generally tighter than my hamstring muscles, or they're the ones that are shortened for a good part of the day. So knowing what you're doing throughout the day and changing that up a little bit will help go a long ways. So get rid of the scar tissue adhesions, change your patterns, and then gentle stretching. I think stretching is wonderful once the muscle is nice and warmed up. It's a great thing to do is to stretch it. So good stretching for that is to sit down on the floor with your feet straight out in front of you, your feet pointed up, and then you just gently at your waist bend. But it's not, you're not reaching to the toes. We're just leaning forward. You should feel a nice stretch. Hold that stretch gently with no pain, just nice stretching feeling for 8 to 10 count. Okay, and that'll help. If you don't want to get down on the floor, so you're at a park and you have no desire to sit down on the floor, put your foot up on a bench, straighten out the leg, and again, just gently lean forward. It's not about touching anything, it's just about leaning forward and feeling the stretch. Okay, those are great stretches. Anytime you feel a muscle gets really aggravated and angry when you stretch it, that's a good time to have it looked at by a physical therapist or a doctor, because a lot of times if it's getting angrier and angrier, you might have a tear. So that would, in my opinion, be a good time for you to have it looked at. Okay, make sure that that's not happening. Okay, so those are some good self-care tips. If you like what we were doing here, and you would like to get a free PDF on 4 ways to reduce tight and stiff sore muscles, and have a checklist that's going to help you develop a great self-care routine, then follow the link below and we'll get that to you. Okay? All right, this is Brian Hagan from Your Healthy Steps. Have a great day. Take care.